let's talk about relationships. Hello my love bugs, and welcome back to another session of Healing with Ruby and cultivating your best life. So a few weeks ago we spoke about love languages, and I know that a lot of you got a new perspective out of it and you really enjoyed that video. A lot of you told me that this was something that you definitely needed. I also felt like love languages won't necessarily help you unless you know how to use them correctly, and that's why I've created this video today. Before we go into the video, if you haven't subscribed yet, please click on the bell icon below to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please also follow me on social media. My social media will be on the screen, and let's get started. Those of you who don't know what love languages are, or if you missed my previous video, if you just look up on the screen, there will be a little link which you can click on to watch my previous video, and then once you've watched that video you can come over here and take even more benefit and even more advantage of all the information that I'm providing you today. For those of you who watched the last video on love languages, stay tuned and we'll find out how to make use of love languages to better our relationships. So when I first read into love languages, I found them so interesting, and I thought, okay, I need to figure out what my love language is so that I can communicate this to my partner. So I took the quiz and I figured out what my love language is. So my love language is words of affirmation, and then my second, it's a hierarchy. So the first one is words of affirmation, and then my second one is quality time. Okay, so words of affirmation make me feel very, very loved. And I found this really great because I was like, this is definitely how I feel loved. Now that I know what my love language is, I can use this to better my relationship. A lot of people, they take a similar stance when it comes to love languages. So when they find out about love languages, they say, let me take the quiz and figure out what my love language is so I can communicate this to my partner, and then they can make me feel loved and I can feel loved in the relationship. And that's not the right way to see love languages. So Gary Chapman, the author of the book The 5 Languages of Love, when he carried out research into this book and when he was writing this book, he was actually a relationship therapist. Okay, so he was a relationship and marriage therapist, and he spoke to real life couples, and it was through speaking to these real life couples and carrying out this therapy that he was able to conclude his findings and conclude and come up with this construct of the 5 love languages. His construct wasn't for us to learn what our love language is and then communicate it to someone, or to find someone who's willing to speak our love language to us. That was never the intention. The idea was that we need to learn our partner's love language so we can modify our behavior in accordance with it and make them feel loved. So we need to tailor our expression of love in a way that makes our partner feel loved and hopefully expect the same from them. This is what will allow long-term emotional satisfaction in healthy relationships and help cultivate lifelong commitments. So now that we know how important it is to find out our partner's love language and express it to them in that way, how do we go about finding their love language out? Let's find out how we figure out our partner's love language. Number 1, perhaps the most simplest one, take the love language quiz together. Okay, so the simplest way to figure out what your partner's love language would be is to do your research and take the love language quiz with your partner together. The idea with this technique is once you research and look into love languages, you can find out whether or not they're important to you. If they are important to you and your partner loves you, they will understand that this particular construct might help better your relationship. Once you communicate this to them, they'll be happy to take the quiz with you. You can take the quiz as well, and you both can figure out what your love languages are. But of course, not everybody is going to be happy to do the research. Not everybody is going to be happy to take the quiz. Some people don't like following theories or theorizing about their relationship, and that's completely fine, because we need to respect our partner's opinions on these matters as well, because they are as much part of the relationship as we are. So what would the alternative be if our partner is not willing to do the research, if they're not willing to take the quiz because they don't believe in these things, but we do, right? We do. How will we find out what our partner's love language is? Number 2, ask them questions. If you've done the research into love languages and you've figured it out and you've carried out the quiz and you know what your love language is, you know enough about love languages in order to be able to ask your partner questions that relate to particular love languages and then just categorize them yourself. But of course, with this particular technique, you need to be very clever, because if your partner is against love languages to begin with, if they're against theorizing about their relationship, they will probably be offended if you ask them direct questions. So you need to somehow somehow be clever about it and weave these questions into your everyday conversation and figure it out in that way. Remember, some of you could have been in your relationships for many, many years and you've only just found out what love languages are. And that's wonderful. You finally figured out what is causing all of this miscommunication in your relationship. But it's years into your relationship and you're asking your partner questions about their love language now. If they figure out that you're asking them questions about what makes them feel loved, they could be very offended or maybe feel even really sad that you don't know what makes them feel loved until now after spending so many years with them. Of course, we want to know what makes our partner feel loved, but we don't want to do this at the expense of them feeling unloved or them feeling like we don't know them yet after spending so many years with them. That's why number 3 is so important. Observe their behavior. If the other 2 ways of figuring out your partner's love language have not worked, it's okay, it's still not too late. You can figure it out in this way. One of the most important sections in Gary Chapman's book, when he was trying to figure out love languages and trying to figure out why was it that there was so much miscommunication in relationships and marriages, he found out that one of the biggest problems is that we communicate and express love in the way that we want to be loved. And this is what causes the miscommunication, because instead of figuring out what their love language is, we're speaking to them in our own love language. We're speaking to them in our native love tongue, and we're expecting that they're going to understand that this is how we feel love. Confusing, I know. But this is actually really helpful too, especially when you're trying to figure out what your partner's love language is. Because if you're unable to make them take the quiz, if you're unable to ask them questions without them figuring out that you are asking them what their love language is, then you need to become the ultimate spy. And spies use all of their senses, especially their vision. Observe their behavior. At this point, it's highly likely that your partner doesn't know what your love language is, especially if they don't believe in love languages, haven't done the research, don't know anything about it, don't agree with it. The odds are that they're probably still speaking to you in their native love tongue rather than in yours. So pay close attention to the way that they treat you. Are they gift givers? Do they shower you with positive affirmation? Do they make lots of plans to spend lots and lots of time with you? Do they hold your hand, cuddle you and kiss you? Make a mental tally if you must, and every time they treat you in one of the 5 different love language ways, just add it down onto your mental tally. Then put this to use and try to notice what their reaction is. Try to see what action of yours makes them the happiest. Because remember, we all love a good cuddle, we love gifts, we love spending time with our partner, we love all of these things, but there is one particular love language that takes priority over all the rest. So what you're going to have to figure out is which one out of those 5 ways of them feeling loved do they feel the most loved by. Because while I enjoy gifts and stuff, I love the good cuddle, I also mostly enjoy affirming words and positive words. But that doesn't mean that when I get a gift I don't like it. It doesn't mean that when I'm spending time with the person that I love I don't enjoy it. There's a variety of things. I love all of them, but affirming words are what I enjoy the most. In the same way, it might be that while your partner enjoys spending time with you, it might be the close proximity, the fact that you're cuddling and the fact that you're kissing that they enjoy the most. You just don't know, which is why you need to pay close attention to it. To figure out what your partner's love language is, you're going to have to put on your most observant hat and get to work. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope that you got something useful out of it. If you have any questions whatsoever regarding love languages, please leave them in the comments below and we will have a discussion about them. I've included some really useful links for you below in the comments which you can read to learn more about love languages, to learn more about your partner's love language and how you can figure it out and how important love languages are in cultivating healthy relationships. Thank you, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe. Please share, and I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I will see you all next week. Bye bye.